Welcome to Space Matrix. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates. The night of September 6, 2025 was quiet, too quiet. Over the mountains of northern Syria, a silence hung, about to be shattered. Inside a fortified Russian airbase, soldiers manned their S-400 missile defense systems, confident in their invincibility. But high above, the B-2 Spirit bomber, callsign Nightfall, moved unseen. Designed for invisibility, the B-2 had traveled thousands of miles in secrecy. Its mission neutralized Russian air defenses threatening regional stability. The pilots, focused and detached, initiated the attack. Payload doors opened, specialized munitions glided silently toward their targets. On the ground, Russian soldiers had no warning, just a blinding flash. Explosions tore through the S-400 batteries, turning pride into twisted metal. In minutes, the attack was over. The B-2 vanished into the night. Chaos and confusion reigned below, but the real impact was psychological. The world had just witnessed the vulnerability of a superpower. In Tehran, Iranian military observers watched in disbelief. They had trusted Russian technology, built their defenses around it. That night, their faith was shattered. The destruction of the S-400S sent shockwaves through Iran's leadership. If America could do this to Russia, what could it do to them? The ghost in the night had destroyed more than missiles. It had destroyed an alliance. The message was clear. Nowhere was truly safe. The balance of power had shifted in a single night. To grasp the impact of this strike, we need context. Iran and Russia's alliance was never about friendship, it was necessity. United against the US, they shared suspicion of Western influence. Russia supplied Iran with military hardware and political cover. In return, Iran gave Russia a foothold in the Middle East. Together they propped up the Assad regime in Syria, signaling Russia's return as a global player. For Tehran, the partnership was a lifeline against sanctions and isolation. Russian air defense systems, especially the S-300 and S-400, were supposed to shield Iran from attack. This sense of security emboldened Iran's regional ambitions. But the alliance was always uneasy. Russia kept its best technology for itself. Iran knew Russia acted in its own interest but had few alternatives. The relationship was transactional, not trusting. As long as the Russian shield held, Iran accepted the risks. But the events in Syria exposed the limits of that shield. The illusion of protection was gone. Iran was left questioning the value of its most powerful ally. The cracks in the alliance were now impossible to ignore. Doubts about Russia's reliability had been growing in Tehran. The war in Ukraine revealed Russian military weaknesses, tanks destroyed, air superiority lost. Iranian leaders noticed Russia sold them downgraded weapons, not the latest models. Was Russia holding back, or was its technology simply overrated? Economic ties also frayed as Russia, under sanctions, competed with Iran in oil markets. Iran gave Russia political support but got second-rate gear and economic setbacks in return. Military commanders began to question their entire defense strategy. Billions spent on Russian air defenses now seemed wasted. The poor performance of Russian systems in Ukraine was a red flag. The shield they trusted might be full of holes. The alliance, once seen as mutually beneficial, now looked one-sided. The seeds of doubt had grown into a crisis of confidence. Iran faced a terrifying possibility. Its defenses might not work when needed most. The foundation of their security was crumbling. The B-2 strike was more than an attack, it was a demonstration. The S-400 system in Syria, Russia's pride, was obliterated in minutes. The world saw that the ultimate defense was defenseless. For Iran, this was a moment of brutal clarity. The doubts they'd harbored were now undeniable facts. The B-2 had flown undetected, delivered its payload, and escaped unscathed. If the S-400 couldn't stop it, what chance did Iran's older systems have? Emergency meetings erupted in Tehran. Their entire defense strategy was exposed as a dangerous illusion. The US could strike at will, nuclear sites, bases, command centers, all vulnerable. The sense of security evaporated overnight. The balance of power was unmistakable. American technology was superior. Aligning with Russia now seemed reckless, even dangerous. The B-2's silent flight had delivered a deafening warning. Confronted with this new reality, Iran's leaders faced a choice. The Russian alliance now looked like a liability, not a shield. The risk of US conflict was real and unwinnable. Pragmatists in Tehran pushed for a new strategy, put Iran's survival first. Decades of anti-Western rhetoric had to be set aside. Secret back-channel talks with Western nations began. Iran wasn't seeking to become an American ally, but to reduce the threat. The goal repositioned Iran as a neutral, independent player. This pivot was a calculated betrayal of Russia. But Moscow had already failed them. Iran began distancing itself from Russia, exploring new military and diplomatic options. Subtle signals emerged. Changed votes at the UN, softer rhetoric, quiet meetings. The message was clear: Iran was changing course. The leadership framed it as pragmatic self-preservation. True strength, they argued, came from independence, not reliance on a failing ally. The Russian alliance had run its course. Iran was charting a new path. Iran's pivot sent shockwaves through the Middle East. Old alliances blurred, the regional balance was upended. Russia lost its key foothold, its prestige in tatters. Other nations reconsidered their ties to Moscow. For the US and its allies, Iran's shift was both opportunity and challenge. A less hostile Iran could mean a more stable region, but old rivals remained wary. Every country recalibrated its strategy. Turkey and Gulf states saw new openings to expand influence or reduce tensions. The geopolitical map was in flux. The B-2 strike had shattered the old order. A new Middle East was emerging, uncertain, but full of possibility. As of September 6, 2025, the Middle East stands at a crossroads. The B-2 strike was a catalyst, exposing weakness and forcing realignment. Iran's pivot to the west is a gamble, one that could bring security or chaos. Hardliners may resist and old suspicions linger. The US has shown its technological edge. Russia's influence is fading. Alliances once thought permanent have crumbled overnight. The region faces immense uncertainty, but also opportunity for change. The decisions made now will shape the future toward stability or renewed conflict. The ghost in the Syrian night left behind a world of questions. The answers are still unwritten.